For over 3,000 years, one story has stood above all others, a war that mixed gods with men, heroes with destiny, and love with destruction. A war that shaped the foundations of Western mythology. This is the legend of the Trojan War, a tale of passion, betrayal, glory, and the fall of a mighty city. The Trojan War didn't begin with weapons. It began with a single apple. At the wedding of the mortal king Peleus and the sea goddess Thetis, Eris, the goddess of discord, tossed a golden apple into the crowd. Inscribed on it were the words, "For the most beautiful." 3 powerful goddesses immediately claimed it. Hera, the queen of the gods. Athena. Athena and Aphrodite, the goddess of love. They needed a judge, and they chose Prince Paris of Troy. To sway his decision, each goddess offered him an irresistible gift. Hera promised power over vast kingdoms. Athena offered unmatched wisdom and guaranteed victory in battle. But Aphrodite's offer was different. She promised him the most beautiful woman on earth. Paris chose Aphrodite, and with that choice, he sealed his fate. The woman she promised him was Helen, the queen of Sparta, who was already married. Paris traveled to Sparta, where he was welcomed as a guest. But when he saw Helen, their connection was undeniable, and they escaped together to Troy. This single act of passion would ignite the greatest conflict of the ancient world. King Menelaus of Sparta was consumed by fury. He called upon a sacred oath that all Greek kings had sworn years before to defend Helena's marriage with their full military might. Soon, a massive army was formed, a gathering of legends led by the greatest heroes of the age. There was Agamemnon, the powerful king of Mycenae, and Menelaus's brother, Achilles, the strongest and fiercest warrior alive. Odysseus, the master strategist, known for his cunning mind. Ajax, a giant of a man, and a mighty shield-bearer. And Nestor, the wise, elderly leader. Together, they gathered a fleet of 1,000 ships and crossed the Aegean Sea, their destination the formidable city of Troy. But Troy was not defenseless. It was protected by its powerful king, Priam, and led in battle by his son, Prince Hector, the bravest of all Trojans. Alongside him was Paris, the very cause of the war, and a host of allies from across Asia Minor. The world held its breath, ready for a battle of legends. The Greeks laid siege to Troy, but the city's walls were impenetrable, said to have been built with the help of the gods themselves. For 10 long, grueling years, the fighting raged on, a stalemate of endless skirmishes and heroic duels. The most famous duel of the entire war was between Achilles and Hector. Achilles had withdrawn from the battle in a rage after a dispute with Agamemnon, severely weakening the Greek army. But when his beloved friend Patroclus was killed by Hector, Achilles' grief turned to a burning desire for revenge. He returned to the fight, sought out Hector, and they met in a fierce, epic. Ultimately, Achilles' divine strength prevailed. In his fury, he dragged Hector's body behind his chariot around the city walls, an act of vengeance that shocked both mortals and gods. The gods themselves were said to have taken sides in the conflict. Hera and Athena, still bitter about the golden apple, aided the Greeks. Apollo and Aphrodite, loyal to their champions, supported the Trojans. All the while, Zeus, the king of the gods, tried to maintain a delicate balance from his throne on Mount Olympus. The war was not just a human conflict, it was a divine one. The war claimed the lives of countless heroes on both sides. Even the mighty Achilles, despite being nearly invincible, had one vulnerability: his heel. Legend says it was the only part of his body not dipped into the river Styx, leaving it mortal. Paris, guided by the god Apollo, shot a poisoned arrow that found its mark, striking Achilles in his heel. The greatest of all Greek warriors fell. Later in the war, Paris himself was killed, struck down by a skilled archer named Philip. One of the most emotional moments of the war, as recorded in ancient literature, came not from battle, but from an act of incredible bravery. King Priam, Hector's elderly father, secretly entered the Greek camp at night. He made his way to Achilles' tent, knelt before the man who had killed his son, and begged for Hector's body to be returned for a proper burial. Moved by the old king's courage and his own grief, Achilles agreed. It was a profound moment of shared humanity in the midst of a brutal, unforgiving war. After 10 years, the Greeks were exhausted. The walls of Troy still stood, unbreakable. Victory seemed impossible. And then Odysseus, the master of strategy, devised a brilliant, desperate plan. The Trojan horse. The Greeks constructed a massive wooden horse, large enough to hide their best warriors inside. The rest of the army then packed up their camp and sailed away, making it look as if they had finally given up and gone home. The Trojans awoke to find the Greek camp empty and the enormous horse standing on the shore. Some celebrated, believing it was an offering to the gods. Others were suspicious. The prophet Laocoon famously cried out, "Beware of Greeks bearing gifts." But Hustin, two giant sea serpents, rose from the ocean and killed him and his sons. The Trojans took this as a divine sign that the horse was meant for them. They pulled the magnificent horse into their city, and a great celebration began. That night, as Troy slept, the Greek soldiers hidden inside crept out and opened the city gates. The Greek army, which had only pretended to sail away, returned under the cover of darkness. Troy was set ablaze. The city that had stood for centuries fell in a single night of fire and chaos. The war was over, but the stories of the heroes were far from finished. Odysseus, for his role in the city's destruction, was cursed by the gods. He faced monsters, witches, and violent storms on a grueling 10-year journey just to get home. Aeneas, a Trojan prince, managed to escape the burning city. According to legend, he would travel across the sea and become the ancestor of the founders of Rome. Many of the victorious Greek heroes never made it home at all, lost at sea or cursed by the gods for their ruthless actions during the war. The Trojan War became the cornerstone of Greek mythology, and a timeless inspiration for art, poetry, and storytelling for thousands of years to come. The legend of the Trojan War is more than just a story. It is a timeless epic of love, honor, revenge, and destiny. From the bravery of Hector to the rage of Achilles, from the beauty of Helen to the cunning of Odysseus, this war of heroes and gods shaped ancient history and continues to captivate the world today. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, share, and subscribe for more legendary stories from our ancient past. Thanks for watching.